Welcome everyone to another exciting author behind the publishing with Sallie Wagner, who is creating this multimedia fabulousness for adults to help tap into that creativity, right? To get out of your head and into your feelings in your body. Of course, Sallie is your alchemist, your life alchemist. And we're here to talk about what inspired you for it. And it's a beautiful, I cannot think of anything like it that I've seen. So I am quite excited. And of course, we have Dortha Hise, our editorial director, guiding through making sure we hit all the marks with our book. So welcome, Sallie. Tell us what got you to, because we have a big surprise as to how this series is unfolding, but the main one was not what we had originally talked about. So tell
Right.
us why this book is so special and how you came to it.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you both for asking me to be here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. So, the foundational book in this series is called The Life That Makes You Come Alive. That's the topic, and that leads to everything else. And it really has been a long time in the making and lots of starts and put it away because of life circumstances. And then suddenly it was the day to write. And so I just kept writing. And the premise, the whole underlying message is that our lives are a sacrament. And
Mm,
as we make our journey through life, we're on a pilgrimage because the definition of a sacrament is the outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual reality. And if you think about what Pierre de Chardin said, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so that kind of led me to think about this concept of our life as a sacrament. And then the definition of a pilgrimage is a journey with a spiritual purpose. So here we are on our life's journey, living out the sacrament of our lives as we make the pilgrimage through life.
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful.
And I love the sacred in it. Because
Yeah.
we tend to take so much for granted in the journey
Yes.
that you're anchoring us back to realizing every day, every moment, every word, every opportunity is sacred.
Yes.
Is sacred. Now, one area that the people that get it, right? They understand. Spirituality, we're in an awakening of spirituality. It's no longer fringe, it's no longer woo woo, it's no longer, you know, it's no longer unspoken about, right?
Right.
But for people that are not used to bringing spirituality outside of an edifice or outside of a religion,
Right.
right? How does your journey in being an alchemist and an agent of transformation, how would you say to someone that's never lived their spirituality
Mhm.
to give it a try?
Yeah, so I think, I'm relying on some of the work of James Fowler, who was a Methodist theologian, and he wrote a book about the stages of faith development. And he based his work on people like Lawrence Kohlberg and Eric Erickson and Jean Piaget about the stages of personality development. And so when we look at it in that way, we understand that faith and spirituality and those kinds of things are not tied to, not necessarily tied to the way we typically think of religion and
Mhm.
spirituality and faith, right? We all have it. It's just a matter of what do we worship? Do we worship and what do we express in our lives? Do we worship something greater than ourselves, or are we worshiping and expressing what the world tells us is important? Are we
Yes.
serving other people, or are we waiting to see what we can get from other people?
And the greatness within.
Yeah.
right? One thing that I've learned, and you and I have collaborated, well, the three of us have collaborated for years,
Yeah.
is that external view, right? It's like the greatness is external, the impact is external, the frequency, the energy, all of what is communicating is external, opposite to no, it all begins within,
Yeah.
right? Dortha, and you're a big champion of really connecting to your body,
Hmm.
right? And listening to your body. How can a book and a series, because it's really not a book, it's a movement that Sallie represents. It's a framework, a way of thinking, a perspective, right? How do you see people who are still not sure what it means to tie it all together? How
Well,
does
I
that
mean,
help?
yeah, I think a tool like this is going to be really helpful and handy for someone in that exact space because they're going to have a guide. Um, and personally, someone who does this kind of work, I'm excited because I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a really fun little add-in, right? I mean, it's like a beautiful, just what we were talking about before the show. I'm excited about what this is unfolding to become, and I think for somebody who doesn't have a structure or has questions or doesn't know where to get started, something like this is a really great way to kind of have a bridge to create their own practice. And I think that that's kind of how this comes into that in a really beautiful and natural way.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that is really multimedia and multi-sensory, right? So tell us, Sallie, this is an illustrated book for adults,
Yes.
right? So what role do the images play? Like why, a lot of, especially for men, graphic novels are very popular,
Yes.
right? Which I love. Actually, somebody gifted a graphic novel to me about 300, like the movie 300 and the story 300. And it's actually like fabulous. Like it's such a great, now I get it. Now I get why so many people love graphic novels and such, right? But you're going beyond that. And your imagery is beautiful. And so tell us about the companion. Like is yes, the images are beautiful, but you go beyond that.
Yes. Yes, and the images are important in it because we don't want to just read this academically, right? We want to take it in energetically, and we want to express it energetically because everything is energy. If you read quantum physics and other types of physics, everything is energy, and energy affects energy, and so we want to have those
Mm,
thoughts that are impacted by the images that will help us as we ask some of the questions that are posed in the book. For example, live the life that makes you come alive. Well, what does that even mean? And how do we find that out for ourselves? Because each one is going to have a unique answer to that question. It's
yes.
not always going to be the same for everyone. And so the images help to change the energy, help to change our brain waves, all of those kinds of things, as we move through the DTAB, the delta, theta, alpha, beta brain wave levels to perhaps even an alpha level, theta level, all of those kinds of things to experience a different type of knowing and a different type of reality as we answer the questions.
Do you remember when we were young and we used to listen to music looking at the cover?
Yes.
Right? Did you guys do that, or was it a
Yeah.
me thing? That we, there's okay to say, no, that
I
was
don't
just
think,
you.
yeah, I don't think I did that. It sounds cool
Oh,
though.
really?
Mm-mm.
So, so we used to get well, we're older than you, for starters,
Oh,
right?
okay. Well,
You're
maybe
you're
that's it.
you're a
Yes, maybe.
millennial. We're
I'm
not.
not a millennial.
You're not a oh, well,
Mm-mm.
you
We've
must
had this
be like on the
conversation.
threshold
I
of
am. I'm at the, yeah.
Gen X and millennial.
Hmm.
Anyways, well, when we were growing up, because Sally and I are in the same, in the same range, um, we they used to be the LPs, right? The
Yeah.
album. And they used to come with this beautiful art. Like in some, you could even open up, and like there was like even more pictures. And we used to listen to the records looking at the art.
I thought you were talking about books and listening to music. That's why I
No,
was
darling,
confused. Okay, good.
albums.
This I
No, no,
understand. I had a
music.
whole collection of records. Oh my gosh,
Okay,
yes.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I don't know. It's
Sorry. I didn't make the connection.
that's okay. My bad. And
Is there a musical element to this too, Sally? Did I miss that part? Is
oh,
there? That would be amazing.
We haven't discussed it. There
it
could
hasn't gone that far. Yeah, but you know what?
be. Yeah.
For the actually that's a brilliant question, because this is the guide, and I love that you called it a guide, Dortha. This is what kicks off the series, and there are 10 micro books that go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper once you understand the framework, right? And you know what? I'm loving this energy and frequency and music linked to each of, because this meditation, right, linked to each of the micro books that go with it. I think I love lately every project that's come our way in publishing is just like this beautiful, rich, you know, atmosphere. It's not even an atmosphere, is beyond aesthetic, beyond atmosphere. It's like this space, this like sacred space that you go with it, and that stimulates all the senses. So I love, Dortha, that we may even make a recommendation for the right sense now that I say all the senses. That is brilliant. I love it when you just like, there's no box. Never mind stepping outside the box. There is no box. Now, you referred to yourself as an alchemist. And there's still some people out there that may not understand what that means.
Yes.
And so tell us about that.
So just in the classic sense of alchemy and an alchemist, the whole study of alchemy was to transform something that they considered base into something totally different and glorified. And, so like to turn lead into gold, for example. And we all, perhaps, maybe it's just me, but, the story of Rumpelstiltskin, where they were spinning the straw and turning it into gold, those kinds of stories about alchemy. And the notion is that we can turn those energies of alchemy in onto ourselves and transform ourselves and our lives into something far greater.
Making the ordinary extraordinary.
Yes.
You know what I love about the work that you do? First of all, for anybody that really doesn't know Sallie, if there's a person still left in a corner of the earth that doesn't know Sallie, you began as a real estate lawyer.
Yes.
Right? And in the fact that we always think of talk about boxes, we always think of lawyers, in a certain like stereotype, right? Or a certain kind of person. But I love that you transcend that, right? Talk about alchemy, taking the law and all of the discipline and all of the intelligence that it takes to understand the law, and then applying it to spirituality. I think that's just brilliant.
Thank you. Well, and that's kind of my educational background. When I first started in college, I was one of those people I couldn't decide. So I have minors in a lot of things.
So you chose the law, right? Like, I can't decide, so I'll be.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I have a minor in physics and a minor in math and Russian and this and that. And I finally ended up with a major in theology. And so that was, and then I went to law school. So just a kind of a circuitous journey back to those beginnings and the alchemy of bringing it all together.
But I love that foundation, because although we are getting better, I remember when I was back in the C-suite, often I was in corporate, I was the only woman, and I had, finance and the HR portfolios. So for sure, I was very careful not to speak of like my spirituality and my belief system or values or any, like I was careful not to bring it out. Now, it was at least 10 years ago, and the world is awakening more to, spirituality and leadership, and the role, the impact that leaders make beyond the transaction in the ROI to shareholders. We care about, look what's happening right now in the world. I care about the character of the leaders, right? That the people we consider leaders. So to begin to expand into openness, and to be able to speak about, doing good, and what's good, what's bad, and good energy, bad energy, and how
Mhm.
that makes you a better person before you even try to influence or lead others,
Yes. Yes.
right? Because it's not just lip service. Like, we want congruity. We want the person that we follow be worth following.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of work that is intelligent, because you are a very intelligent lady, that is intelligent and provocative, and it asks you to do the work internally before you can even begin to do the work externally. And I know many, we come across many business, we do a lot of business to business, and you hear what their messaging is, like brand, dissonance, right? Like, you hear their product, their message, and then you get to know them, and it's like, whoa, this is so far removed from what you present to the world, right? And so I love that about you. And I do, and I've told you this before, and just so that people know, this is why we don't just represent brands. Like, is, for us, we're boutique publishing. So when Dortha and I take a project, is discussed, not just financially, but energetically, right? That, will this make the world better? And we'll support it, of course, right? So Sallie has a meditation, and we got to put the link to it, about the ring of fire. And I did that workshop with you with this ring. And every single time I put it on every morning, I think of you, I think of the intentionality, and I think of the ring of fire.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of lessons that you can expect out of any work that Sallie puts forth. Now, I know you're working on a children's book, which again, challenging Dorothy and I to like really like stretch the boundaries. Which one came first, the children's book or the illustrated journey and guide for the adults? Because it's almost like you're creating storybooks for both, right?
Yeah.
Which one came first? Which one inspired which?
The children's book actually came first, and it is a poem that I wrote many years ago, decades ago, actually. And I always thought, oh, gee, it'd be fun to have it as a book. Not just a poem, but just a book, a nice little children's book that's also for adults, because there are some messages there that adults can appreciate. And worked with various people on illustrations. That's not my thing. I'm not that type of artist. And so it came together recently, and so it's fun.
We're putting it together. We're also publishing
Yeah.
that for Sallie, and that's taken a little bit longer because it's the first children's book that we're publishing. We want to do right by
Yeah.
the project, and we're
Yeah.
finding out all of, there's rightly so. There's so many new regulations for publishing children's books
Yes.
that we're making sure that, we're pleasing and complying with every request, and honor the wholesomeness of the message.
Of course.
So what do you think, what can our friends and readers and in the world try today from a life that makes you come alive? Is there because, by the way, there's a way to listen to the recordings and to interact. It's an experience. It's an interactive experience. So you're going to get lots of that with the book, but what is something that they could try today,
Mhm.
that will begin to get them to understand how living your life this way is a game changer?
Yeah. So I think just kind of ask yourself some questions. Ask yourself, is the life I'm living the one that makes me come alive?
Yeah.
That comes from a quote from Howard Thurman, who was mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and then go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." And so ask yourself that: Am I living the life that I chose and created for myself, or am I living the life that was chosen for me? That people told me, you should do this, you should do that, right? So ask yourself those types of questions. Ask yourself, am I successfully discontent? Everything looks great on paper, the resume is fabulous, and yet it just doesn't feel the way I thought it would. So start by asking yourself some of those basic questions, and then ask yourself, do I want to change it? And am I ready to change it? And if the answer is yes, then this is it. This is the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dortha, I don't know about you, but she just blew my mind, right?
Yes.
Because it's like, like, what problem do you solve, right? Like, that's a basic, you know, marketing, advertising, branding 101, right? Like, what problem do you solve? Don't think of careers, think of what problems do you solve. But you know what? Take it a step further. What problems do you solve that make you come alive,
Yeah.
that give
Mhm.
your life purpose? Otherwise, you're right, you'll grow to resent it
Yeah.
in burnout. And that's when you end up with the, in the home of the shoemaker, children are barefoot kind of thing, because you're so busy solving
Yes.
the problems of the world that your very own life gets sacrificed in the process. And it doesn't need to be that way.
Right.
There's no longer need for duality when you're doing it right. Love that. Sallie, we're going to put all your contact information. We're going to, of course, you're one of our, you know, mentor experts. So of course, check out Sallie in all of our magazines, in all of our podcasts, and just connect, because she's so generous in her sampling, like for you to try it, right? Try it, and you'll see the change, and then begin a journey to a life that you would have never thought it was possible, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. And on our next series, actually, we are going to be led by our very own Dortha Hise, Queen of Automation, about YouTube has done, I don't know if you've checked it out lately, but they have done an incredible upgrade to the platform. You can now host courses. We're not YouTube affiliates. We are, it's just one of the best vehicles to communicate. So now you can host courses, you can do all kinds of things. And Dortha just completed a level up accreditation on it. And so she knows all the latest bells and whistles. So we're bringing that to you starting next Wednesday. So this is PWT Publishing, and we come to you every Wednesday. Thanks so much, and until next time.